Here we go. Episode 109 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merlo. That's John Michael Masiri. JM, this NFL season is flying by. It's week 4. It's going to be week 4 this Sunday, the 4th Sunday.
See the weather outside, too?
I love it. Oh, I love it.
I don't
It's
know.
the fall. The fall is here.
You know what the problem is? I'm at the point right now where I don't know whether to turn the AC on in my car, whether to not use the air, and whether to turn the heat on. Like, it's a constant battle. Like, when I wake up in the morning and I get in the car, I'm like, maybe the heat. Then it's the middle of the day. I'm like, maybe I need a little AC. I don't know about you, but I came up with a solution. I've just been shutting the air off completely and rolling a window down if it gets a little hot.
Well, the window is definitely the best option unless it's raining like last weekend was. All weekend, and it rained today too a little bit. The weather's just been crappy here in our tri-state area on the East Coast in New York. So we've had a little weather issues, but it feels like fall. We're back. Football weather, it's back. Very excited about that.
You know who else had rainy conditions on Sunday? Was the New York Jets in a disgusting game.
Look at you, little segue.
Yeah, come on. When I see the opportunity, I got to pounce.
Nice little segue. You know, fans actually sat through that. Like, fans drove to the game. Yeah. It was a terrible weekend. We had a tropical storm basically pass through, and fans sat through that game.
Yeah.
Credit to them.
And, you know, you feel bad. Like, just imagine that kid going to his first ever football game with his dad, and he's a Jet fan, and he's so excited. And then you show up to a rainy... What?
Yeah, sure. You're going to the first football game. You're excited, of course. But, I mean, your expectations are a little lowered when the quarterback is Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, you that's exactly what I was going to say. Is then you bring the kid to the game, he's all excited, and then, sorry to tell you, little Timmy, Zach Wilson's the quarterback, and it's pouring, and we're playing the New England Patriots, who are Zach Wilson's father and the Jets' father. So...
yeah, not a good recipe, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, Bill Belichick, who's owned this kid, who owned Sam Darnold, who's owned the franchise for, 7 straight years now, basically, took care of business. But it was a game. It was a game that the Patriots did not deserve to win. The Patriots didn't deserve to win this one. Sure, defensively they were great, but it was more so Zach Wilson being terrible, and you did a nice breakdown on Zach Wilson's game, every throw that he made in week 3. And it's evident that this guy cannot read defenses whatsoever.
No, not at all. And, you know, that's what confuses me with the way that they're sticking with Zach Wilson and the confidence and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sure. Is it nice to give the guy confidence, and you don't want him to go through that same process of he gets benched on Thursday Night Football and Chris Streveler comes in and the whole crowd starts sarcastically cheering like they just won the Super Bowl because they're finally taking this guy out. But at the same time, you owe it to the other 52 guys on the roster and the fans and everybody else who puts their time, their sweat, their blood, sweat, and tears into this. You owe it to them to put out the best product that you can, and Zach Wilson is not the best product. The thing that confuses me, when you have a quarterback like a Mark Sanchez, right? Mark Sanchez was... I mean, to this day, I'll say that Mark Sanchez probably could have turned out to be okay, but unfortunately, Rex Ryan was a head coach who just cared about defense, and they basically just said, just be a game manager. That's what they want to do with Zach Wilson. Mark Sanchez was able to be a game manager, though, because it fit to his play style a little bit, and same thing with Sam Darnold, where if you put Sam Darnold on this team, he could be a game manager. Zach Wilson is not a game manager. He is a full-blown project. He's a guy that you drafted to be in the hopes of it's hysterical to say this, but to be in the class of a Mahomes and an Allen and a somebody like that who can improvise, who can make plays on the run, throw against his body. Who did Zach Wilson have a lot of comparisons to coming out of college? Aaron Rodgers. That was some of the comparisons to Zach Wilson in terms of his release point, the way he throws the ball, this and that. Yeah, it's safe to say that he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, you can go to Burns Park right now and throw from different arm angles and drop some in the bucket here and there.
Exactly. My point is, Zach Wilson is not the type of quarterback that is going to just take what the defense gives him and execute the easy routes and this and that and be like a Brock Purdy. You look at Zach Wilson, if you go look at that video I posted of the breakdown, there were plenty of easy routes to hit, open receivers, easy concepts. Zach Wilson instead looks for the more aggressive play. He looks to scramble, to run backwards, to get out of pressure. And sure, it'll happen once in a blue moon. He'll escape and make a nice throw. And we'll say, ooh, that's what they drafted him for. But guess what? The other awful throws that he makes and the awful reads and the stuff that we don't even see on TV, like a lot of the stuff that I posted, I didn't even realize on TV until I watched the film. And you're like, oh, well, that guy's wide open. But for some reason, he just decided to keep the ball. So Zach Wilson, I mean, I have in my notes here, I put Zach Wilson is not the type of quarterback for this team. Number one, and then in all caps, he's ass, which is, I mean,
aggressive.
True. And I said, number two, you need a quarterback who's a game manager, not an improviser. If Zach Wilson was a polished quarterback who is an improviser, that takes this team to enormous heights. And that's kind of what you signed up for Aaron Rodgers. Maybe not the improvising so much now at his age, but still able to improvise and extend plays. Zach Wilson cannot improvise. He cannot hit the easy routes. You just need a game manager like a Jimmy Garoppolo, right? A guy like him that did it with the Niners. Similar situation over here. A guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, this team's 2-1.
They're 2-1, but I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo takes the Jets where Jimmy Garoppolo took those 49er teams. I mean, you had Kyle Shanahan, you had great offensive systems.
Yeah,
you
also
had a real
took is a strong word. I understand what you mean.
Was the quarterback of that team.
Yes.
They had a great run game. They had a great offensive system. They had a good offensive line mixed in with a really good defense. Jimmy G's not doing that. But, enough of Zach Wilson, right? We've talked enough about Zach Wilson. We're going to kind of talk about him as we go on. Not necessarily his game, though. I want to talk about the head coach because I've been incredibly critical of this head coach. Not a fan. Just don't really believe in him. And now all these reports all week long is that there's a chance he's losing this locker room. That there's a chance these guys, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, and a couple of the guys offensively, we see Breece Hall, we see Garrett Wilson getting upset on the sideline, Michael Carter upset on the sideline. It may be that Robert Saleh is losing this locker room. And one thing that I got to mention, and it's from Aaron Rodgers, who went on Pat McAfee the other day, okay? And he was talked about how there's some things going on the sideline. Garrett Wilson getting upset. Michael Carter getting upset, like I just mentioned, on the sideline. And Aaron Rodgers says, that's got to stop. That can't happen. And then he has to say, I'm going to be there on Sunday night. Or I might make an appearance, whatever he said.
Right, you never know who's going to be at the game.
Right.
Not sure if he was talking about Taylor Swift or himself, but
that's a problem. That the head coach cannot handle this. But we need Aaron Rodgers now to come back from L.A., who just had surgery.
I don't think that's what he meant, to say he's coming to save, the locker room. I don't think that's what he meant.
I don't think he meant that, but it kind of seems that way where he says, these guys have to mature. These guys can't be doing this on the sideline. He said that. And the fact that the head coach can't stop this, we need Aaron Rodgers to come and stop this and put a fix to this. That's a problem.
This is like, I'm not just going to give Saleh a free pass here, okay? Like, this is clearly like Zach Wilson should not be playing quarterback anymore. I mean, who knows what next week looks like, what the week after that looks like. But as of right now, like, the guy should not be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. No question. I also think it's a little bit of just an easy way out, and we're making Robert Saleh like low-hanging fruit, the easy target here, just to be like, oh, okay, you're Hall of Fame quarterback who was supposed to come here and take you to a Super Bowl or take you to the playoffs or whatever heights the Jets were. I mean, I'm sure in the building they believe they can win the Super Bowl, and a lot of people thought they could win the Super Bowl. But anyways, he was meant here to elevate your team and to bring you great success, especially considering your team's recent history. That doesn't happen now. The guy is out for the year after 4 plays. You go back to your disaster bust, one of the biggest busts in NFL history in Zach Wilson, considering he was the number 2 overall pick, and he is one of the worst starting quarterbacks we've seen in the league in the past decade. I mean, that's not even an exaggeration.
No.
To just sit here, though, and say, oh, well, Rich Cimini tweeted this about the Jets locker room, who, he likes to break these stories, Rich, that are a little racy, and, who knows if they're actually true or not. I'm not sure where he's getting his sources from. They could be true. He's been right about some stuff. He's been wrong about some stuff. To just sit here and say, Robert Saleh this, Robert Saleh that, fire the coach, bring in an offensive-minded head coach, blah, 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 blah. Are we not realizing that next year the plan is not for Zach Wilson to be the starting quarterback, though? Like, you're saying bring an offensive-minded head coach in. Who are you bringing an offensive-minded head coach in for? Aaron Rodgers?
All right.
Aaron Rodgers knows what he's doing.
No, I completely agree with you. And the one thing I'm going to say is that Robert Saleh has earned nothing in this league. I mean, he's done nothing to sit here and say, even if he loses the locker room, he still deserves to have a job next year. If he loses the locker room, it's a disaster. And listen, I get it. This was not supposed to happen. And if the Jets won 6 or 7 games and it was just a 6 or 7 win season with the backup quarterback, of course he would deserve to keep his job. But if it gets toxic, if it gets the way it seems like it's going to go the rest of the way, then we have to consider Robert Saleh losing his job. Now, let me ask you this question, because it's very interesting. Let's say the Jets, and I don't know if this is going to happen yet. Let's say the Jets have a top 6, 7 pick, right? This is a quarterback-heavy draft class.
Oh, for
this
sure.
is one of the best draft classes for quarterbacks in a long time, okay? I have a 3-part question here. Number one, just answer a quick yes or no. Do you were in love with the quarterback? Do you draft the quarterback?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. Joe Douglas has done a great job, okay, in some aspects.
Yeah.
I like Douglas. I think he has an eye for talent, specifically in the draft, okay, but some of his free agent signings haven't been the greatest. He whiffed on the quarterback, obviously. Do you want this guy potentially picking the next starting quarterback of the New York Jets, the future starting quarterback of the New York Jets? And then another question. Do you want Robert Saleh to be part of that decision and possibly the development of that next starting quarterback? Because the answer to that is no.
Why, though? Like, what do you know about Robert Saleh's ability to evaluate quarterbacks? Sure, they missed on Zach Wilson. Are we just going to sit here and say, oh, they don't know what the hell they're doing?
Well,
they've hit on Garrett Wilson, they've hit on Sauce Gardner, they've hit on Breece Hall, they've hit on a bunch of these guys, Vera Tucker. Like, they have made really good picks over the years. Granted, these aren't, late round sleepers, but they've also done pretty solid in the later rounds as well. They've found some, Michael Carter II is one of the better slot corners in the league. Like, third round pick. They've made some solid picks in the later rounds.
I like Douglas. I do like Douglas.
But this is the stuff that I'm talking about, though, is especially in New York, where we have our, it's the way we live here. It's the way of life. We're very. We move from one thing to the next. We're constantly moving. I mean, you go out on the road and see the way people drive. It's pretty easy to say that we do that. We're like, fire the guy, bring in someone else, draft a quarterback. Who's to say that the guy that we bring in is going to do a better job at drafting a quarterback than Joe Douglas can? And and that's not the way to think, to say, I can't do much better than this, so I'm just going to settle. I believe in Joe Douglas. I think Joe Douglas has done a great job. Sure, he's missed on some picks. What GM hasn't? He missed on Becton. He missed on Zach. Very badly, obviously. I just brought up the guys that he's hit on. He's had a pretty good track record in terms of drafting. That draft class last year, should save his job alone. That is an all-time draft class that they got. So my question then back to you is, what would you like them to do instead?
Well,
in terms of the general manager position. Do you want to bring somebody in to draft a quarterback, not Joe Douglas?
The general manager decision is a very tough one, because you mentioned all the great things that he's done. Again, an eye for talent, specifically in the draft. But I don't want to rehash the bad things that he's done, the offensive coordinator, those hires. If you're going to keep Douglas, which I'm 50-50 on right now, 50-50.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep Douglas, this is a hypothetical situation if the season just continues to be disastrous. Do you want Saleh here, and then do you let Douglas pick the next coach? Like, are you going to let Douglas see this through? That's the question, where you get rid of the head coach. Douglas is here. He picks the next head coach, and he actually picks the next quarterback of the New York Jets.
I think that we're just too all over the place in terms of the head coach. We wanted, when Adam Gase came in after Todd Bowles got fired, we said the Jets need an offensive-minded head coach. They need to bring in a coach who can help with Darnold's development and to elevate this offense. We bring in Adam Gase, who, offensive guru, by the way. Thanks, Peyton Manning, for the recommendation. Adam Gase obviously turns into an all-time dumpster fire. We get rid of Adam Gase. Then the buzz is the Jets need to bring in somebody who can change the culture, a leader, somebody who could get rid of the stink around this organization. Robert Saleh comes in. it's been pretty good so far. These are some of the more likable Jets teams amongst fans around the NFL. I mean, I think the Jets have definitely a lot more respect in terms of their roster around the league than they have had over the years. And there's been a little stability outside. There's been good stability outside of the quarterback position. So now what are we going to say? We're going back to we need the offensive-minded head coach because already people want to claim that this is going to turn into a dumpster fire. And like you said, you use the word toxic and this and that. My whole point here is let's just pump the brakes a little bit. Coming for Salah's job already, it's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous, Jamie. He's 12 and 25 as a head coach.
If I told you in any other team situation, if I said, hey, Andy Reid, that's too strong of an example. Andy Reid's a Hall of Famer. A team who has Nick Sirianni, hey, Jalen Hurts is out for the season here. Your team, the Eagles go 5-12. The Eagles go 5-12.
Pick another example. They went to the Super Bowl.
A team with a great quarterback and the Vikings. If Kirk Cousins is out for the year, which by the way the Vikings aren't off to a great start, anyways. Kirk Cousins goes down for the year, and Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins goes down for the year. The Vikings win 3 games. You really come for Kevin O'Connell's job?
Again, it depends on what happens through the locker room.
It's just obvious that the Jets had all these expectations with Aaron Rodgers, and now we're back to stinky, not even a top 50 quarterback. Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback, and it's, you got to fire Robert Saleh. The guy's starting quarterback is out for the year.
But the one thing that couldn't happen was lose the locker room. There are multiple reports
Who's to say that
Josina Anderson today
that they lost the locker room?
Josina Anderson today said those guys are fuming. That defense is fuming. When the head coach goes out there and continues to coddle the quarterback since they've done from day one when they drafted him. If they continue to coddle the quarterback, they continue to say, he's getting better. We see things. This group of players has to play better. The defense needs to be better. Right. Are you kidding me? You gave up 13 points. Of course the defense doesn't have to play better. Of course this position group doesn't have to play better. Yeah. The quarterback has to play better.
No, honestly,
and the head coach needs to go out there and defend his guys, be a tough critic to the quarterback, which you owe nothing to, by the way, nothing, and defend your guys, because that is BS, and that would make me enraged. Just think about any other position group playing that badly. Okay?
Honestly, you're right. Like, if this goes on the whole... Okay. Yeah, you don't have to toot your own horn, moron. If this goes on for the entire season and Robert Saleh is just Zach Wilson this, Zach Wilson that, he's our guy, blah, 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 then yeah, he deserves to lose his job. My point is, we're going into week 4 here. Zach Wilson's been the starting quarterback for 2 weeks, basically. I think if Robert Saleh knew he was starting to lose the locker room, he would make the change. I don't think that's happening yet. I think they're giving it a little bit more of a shot to see if Zach can step up and play to the level where this team could win some ball games, which I don't know why they're even doing that because the guy sucks. But that's my point is I don't think that Robert Saleh knows he's losing the locker room and is going, we don't want to hurt Zach's confidence. Like, you really think he's doing that? You really think he's that safe in his own skin, in his job, where he thinks, you know what, I'm just going to ride Zach out for the whole season, pause, and then that's my job's going to be completely safe. I don't care how pissed off the locker room gets.
Listen, I don't think it's that extreme, but right now he might not see it.
Listen.
He might not see it right now.
I'm just asking you to think about this rationally and not read the Rich Cimini and Josina Anderson headlines because, we know that 100%. Aaron Rodgers said it himself on the McAfee show. Breaking news, not everything that you hear in the media is 100% correct.
Jam, I see it with my own 2 eyes. They're fighting on the sideline. They're getting coaches' faces.
How many teams fight? Tom Brady used to scream in Josh McDaniels' face on the sideline when they were in the middle of Super Bowl seasons. It happens. Football's an emotional game. Your emotions are sky high. But you're competitive. Sorry, there's a little argument on the sideline. They show and it gets replayed on Twitter 150 times.
Clearly obvious.
It means there's real toxic situation going on right now.
Sure, McDaniels and Brady can yell at each other. It's completely different. They're winning. They're successful. This is
you're not allowed to yell at each. So you're only allowed to yell at each other when you're doing well. If you're doing bad, you're just supposed to sit on the sideline with your hands on your lap and be mute.
We know why they're upset. We know why they're yelling at each other. It's because they stink.
Yeah.
And
they want to win. And they want to win.
Exactly.
Exactly. You would be annoyed if you weren't winning. It doesn't mean that the whole locker room is crumbling down and, oh my God, Robert Saleh needs to be fired right away.
Those things shouldn't be happening on camera. Those things need to be handled.
This is
the
such a
locker
stretch.
room.
It's ridiculous. So everybody act quiet. Don't show any emotion on the football field. Wait to scream at each other until you get back in. Where the media, by the way, is there with all their microphones and their cameras. Let's do it after the game and just start screaming at each other.
Yeah, well, they're obviously not in the cameras aren't in the locker room at all
just
times.
Relax. Oh my God, they yelled at each other on the sideline. This is such a massive
problem. If we got into a fight on the sideline, high school football, we got yelled at.
You're talking about high school football. These are grown men.
These
it's
are
their jobs. They're grown men. We were
professionals.
16-year-olds still living in our parents' houses. We couldn't even drive yet. Yeah, if we were yelling at each other, it would have been a big deal. That's an awful comparison.
These are professionals. They need to act like professionals. On the sideline, you want to scream and yell at each other. In the locker room, whatever.
Right, they're
Don't let us
professionals.
see it.
But when you get an interception, it's okay to do the electric slide with 14 of your teammates and a guy in flip-flops and a visor in the end zone.
I don't agree
but
with
God
that.
forbid you scream at each other on the sideline.
I don't agree with that either.
That's where you cross the line.
They act like idiots.
This is such like a get off my lawn take. I don't want you dancing in the end zone, and I don't want you screaming at each other. Everybody go out there, strap up your helmets, go play football, come back, sit down, and go back in the locker room.
You liked it as a fan that Michael Carter's getting in his coach's face.
No, but I've seen it happen time and time again on any team. They yell at each other on the sideline. The Dallas Cowboys gave up a touchdown against the Arizona Cardinals last week, and their whole defense had a team meeting and started screaming at each other. This is a team that we think is going to make the Super Bowl. Why is that different?
That is completely
Why is it different?
They're having a team huddle. They're getting into it in the huddle. That is completely different.
You're just, oh my God, it's like everything is different except the Jets thing. The Jets thing is not acceptable. So the Jets can't yell at each other because Michael Carter is yelling at a coach. That's not allowed. But the Dallas Cowboys bringing it together, getting in each other's faces and screaming at each other because they've given up a touchdown to Joshua Dobbs is completely different.
Listen, it's not a good look that Garrett Wilson was given, dirty-eyed or whatever you call it to Zach Wilson. I'm not even going to talk about that, though. Whatever, that happens. Guys get frustrated with each other, of course. But you see Alan Lazard and Garrett Wilson sitting there mouthing, this guy can't throw the ball, this guy can't throw the ball. There is a problem. They are upset, and Saleh had to move off of this guy when he realized it, which was last week. They should have put in Tim Boyle at some point in that game. We have to move on. We were going to talk about Joe Namath. I'll mention it quickly if you've got anything to say on Namath.
Shit about
Joe Namath. Listen, at the end of the day, we're ripping Wilson, we're ripping Saleh. At the end of the day, Namath is like, you can't go after Namath. He's like God in this scenario, okay? The Jets and Douglas, nobody could say anything to him. They're defenseless, right? Yeah. So for Namath to go scorched earth on this kid and the organization, when again they can't go back at him, it's just a coward move from Joe Namath. I don't know why. He's a crazy old man. I don't know why we take his opinion so hard, but that's the way it is. So if I was the Jets, if I was Saleh, I wouldn't even
don't even
mention. I'd entertain exactly.
Who cares?
What a joke that is. I mean, come on, man.
Joe Namath likes to keep his name in the headlines for some reason. The guy played football 60 years ago. Move on.
This kid's getting eviscerated by everybody, rightfully so.
Yeah, he sucks.
But you're the franchise's icon. You can't go after him like that. Please. All right, we're moving on here. The Dolphins scored 70 points against the Broncos over the weekend. But, whatever. It was my 3-star. Okay, I'll own it. It was a bad pick, obviously. But that team just looks so impressive right now. Yeah. I mean, do you know what the most impressive part to me is, JM? Obviously, they have the speed, right? They're faster than everybody. And the quarterback's playing incredibly well. And the coach seems like he's a genius, which we'll get to in a minute. Yeah. But they are running the ball. I mean, they are running the football. They're doing it in creative ways. Yep. They're running between the tackles. And they're doing it very well. And they are succeeding on every level. The defense, again, played against Russell Wilson. They were up 70 points. Who cares? Yeah. The Broncos' offense has been terrible.
No, Russ actually looks better than he did last year. Yes. But it doesn't really matter.
But either way, defense, I mean, you really want to talk about the defense in a game in which you scored 70 points? Whatever. This team looks like a juggernaut, JM, and to me, they're the best team in football at the moment.
I'll get to that comment in a little bit, but the offense is something that we've never seen before, and it's really exciting, and it obviously has the chance to be one of those all-time offenses like we think about with, the greatest show on turf and the 07 Patriots and the 2013 Broncos and teams like that. It has that potential. They've perfected this way where I talked about it in the film breakdown where they do a lot of motion, and Motion's a really good thing when you have really fast players like that because you're already basically creating separation before the play even starts. Even if you're not doing that, if it's a slower motion, you're getting a feel for how the defense is aligned, if it's a zone, if it's man. You're getting the defense off of their alignment. You have to move guys over. You confuse the defense. So they're doing a great job with that. Mike McDaniel has perfected this way of every player on that team is like 5'9", 5'10", and can run like a 4.4 or below 40-yard dash. I mean, everybody is just a burner and is on the smaller side, but they're shifty, they're quick. Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert are the fastest running back duo in the league. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are the fastest receiver duo in the league. Braxton Berrios is definitely a fast receiver, so they know what they're doing on offense. Now, the thing that I'll say about you saying they're the best team in the league, I'm not gonna go crazy over that statement. I understand saying they're the best team in the league. They've been the best team in the league looks-wise so far this year, maybe the 49ers, you could say. The one thing I want to see is I'm very excited to see them play Buffalo this weekend because you're going up against a top tier, maybe the best defense in the league so far through 3 weeks in the Buffalo Bills. You're going to a toxic environment, up north, Buffalo. Now, granted, it's not the wintertime. They're lucky about that, but still, you're going into Buffalo. It's a hard place to play. It's a divisional game. That's going to be a really big matchup for them. So, really want to see how they look on Sunday. If they come out and beat the Buffalo Bills, you have my word, I will come on this show next week and say they are the best team in football. I'm not ready to put them there yet, though. I think they're top 3 for sure. Not going to put them number 1 yet.
I actually think they might lose this weekend. But, yeah.
Even this, sorry, because I want to correct my statement. Even if they go down to the wire and maybe lose by a field goal, it depends how they looked, but I may still say they're the best team in football. It's a tough game. I mean, it's Buffalo on the road. It's not an easy game to win.
Weather is supposed to be perfect over there in Buffalo, so it's perfect conditions for Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. I want to say this quick. Mike McDaniel, we could sing the praises for him all night long. We're not going to do that. But the one thing he's done, which is incredibly impressive, which, listen, Tua, before he got there, looked like I'm blanking on the coach before him. Who the hell was the coach?
Not Van Stroh. Brian Flores.
Right, sorry.
Brian Flores.
Listen, Tua was okay, right? Tua won some games when he was healthy, but he was nothing special. We didn't know what Tua was going to be.
Yeah.
And this guy's gotten here, man, and it just shows what good coaching does. Yep. Tua looks like, he's a leading MVP candidate at this point through 3 weeks. Yep. What coaching does specifically for the offense and the quarterback is just, it's so impressive, the job that McDaniel's done.
Well, the thing about McDaniel is
to his play.
It's the coaching, but it's also like you have your coaches that are your leaders and your guys like I talked about with Saleh, where you want to bring in a guy who's going to change the culture and stuff like that. But then you also have your coaches that are geniuses in terms of scheme and stuff like that. And Mike McDaniel clearly is showing that he's a genius in terms of scheme. So you're kind of getting like 2-1 with Mike McDaniel. So he's early favorite. I don't even know what his odds are right now for Coach of the Year, but he's definitely the favorite. You brought up weather in Buffalo this weekend. That's the one thing I also want to see is this is a Miami team, a high-flying offense that is playing in a warm environment. And I'm not going to make a huge deal about this right now because it could easily go away, but we see it with some guys like Jared Goff and other guys in offenses that have struggled in the cold.
Can't play outdoors.
I do want to see what the Dolphins look like in an outdoor environment late in the season, cold weather. That'll be interesting to see.
Well, you know what, JM? I'm really going to hold you to that, all right?
Okay.
Dolphins lose close, maybe pull the upset. Because, by the way, I'm 0-3 betting against the Dolphins this year. And
favorite Dolphin fan here.
It's
just
really
bets against them.
Weirdest thing. Vegas doesn't know how to read them yet, and they're dogs again this week in Buffalo.
We're gonna get to our 3-pick segment that we're gonna post the betting show on Saturday morning.
It's tough.
It's so tempting not to take Miami. But it's just that line. It's such a rat line.
I'm the opposite way. I know the right play is Buffalo, but I just don't want. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I'm not doing it. I'm not touching. I'm not going against them. All right. Another AFC team very quickly. Monday night they played. That was the Bengals. And obviously, we know Joe Burrow. He's dealing with the calf injury, and we hope it doesn't get any more serious than that. Because again, we saw with Rodgers. It would start as a calf injury and led to a torn Achilles. Not saying that's going to happen, but you don't want that to happen. They didn't look great, but Burrow just found it in himself in the second half, and they threw the ball a ton. Jamar Chase got involved heavily, and they were able to pull that one out. But credit to their defense and
Yeah.
the offensive line
Yeah.
of the Rams not being able to protect Stafford.
You know, that the defense has always been an extremely underrated part about the Bengals, and you could make the argument that the defense is what leads them. You know, like that Super Bowl run that they went on, yeah, we remember Joe Burrow and we remember Jamar Chase and those guys, but that defense was pretty much the main reasons that they got to the Super Bowl. I mean, that defense played fantastic. You go on the road, beat Tennessee, on the road, beat the Chiefs, like, you know, big deal for that defense to get to the Super Bowl. They did a really good job.
Well, it certainly wasn't their offensive line.
No, definitely giving up. That's still one of the craziest that they gave up 10 sacks to Tennessee and won the game. That's just absurd.
You know, they're not good at protecting their star quarterback.
If I'm a Bengals fan, though, you're like, oh yeah, we won, but that was
wow.
We won. No, you're like
we won.
It's not an aroused. It's like we won, but
damn, we won that game.
Still like not feeling great about the team. Like Burrow still looks like shit. Like I don't know. Remember last week when I talked about Joe Burrow, you know, not trusting himself and the ball coming out really fast and, you know, 2 seconds or whatever the average time was snap to throw.
Sure.
You know, that stood true in week 3. Just want to read off a stat that I saw in a beautiful article on The Athletic, which, by the way, is just so far and above every other sports media site, like Bleacher Report.
Going under. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Is that actually... No, they're going under?
They went under, yeah. New York Times, they buy them out.
Oh, yeah, but it still exists. You know, Football Outsiders is just... If you look it up, it doesn't exist.
I tried looking that up.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
it's like you
this
click on the
working?
website, it says, like, this site cannot be reached.
Yeah,
like, they
what the
literally...
hell happened?
They got bought out or something and just, like, tanked. I don't know.
Who bought them out?
I don't know.
Trying to look at some advanced
IRS pyramid scheme. I don't know. Something happened. Anyways, Joe Burrow passing 15-plus air yards. Let me say that one more time just so everybody... Clarification. Joe Burrow passing the ball 15-plus yards in the air over his career, or since 2021. 52% completion in 2021, 17 touchdowns and 8 picks. 51% completion in 2022, 14 touchdowns, 4 picks. 2023, 10% completion percentage, 2 for 20 for 69 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 pick. So... yeah, it's a small sample size. It's not going to stay at 10% the whole year, but it's certainly down, and they cannot complete the ball down the field, and that's what we think about with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Let's go over it. Because, granted, the last 2 games are at home. They play the Ravens in week 2, who are a really solid football team.
Yep.
Right? Rams are a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, all right. Nothing special, but a good team. But at home, you expected them to do more. That was clearly his injury.
Yeah.
But week 1, like, yeah, he's injured. It was raining. They played, which we need to talk about, one of the best defenses in the league in the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
So, yes, he's dealing with a lot. You're right. This will change as long as he gets healthier. But if you're a Bengals fan, you're not feeling great right now. Other than the defense, it's like you got a tough matchup, too, this weekend. That going to Tennessee is never easy because of that head coach.
Nope.
The coach is tough to beat.
Yeah.
And they have a coaching advantage over Zach Taylor, in my opinion, Tennessee. Vrabel is a fantastic head coach. That's a tough game for them.
I'll tell you one thing. I have learned to never bet the Tennessee Titans because they are just so hard to figure out. I've bet them a couple times over the years, and you always pick them to be like, they stay in games, but it always seems like when they're supposed to cover, they don't. And when they're not supposed to cover, they do cover. So I stay away from the Titans.
This is the week to bet.
Oh, here we go.
This is the week to bet him.
All right.
I will go over it later.
Make sure to tune in.
He's fantastic as an underdog.
But, yeah, I mean, here's my thing about the Bengals.
Tell me your thing.
Here's my thing.
Other than you being like a closeted Eagles/Bengal fan.
Well, no, the Bengals thing, it's out the window. I don't give a crap about the Bengals anymore. I used to have Joe Mixon in fantasy. It was a big deal to me, whatever. I'm still a closeted Eagles fan, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe Burrow and this offense, who's to say that the league isn't figuring them out a little bit right now and is figuring out we were always scratching our heads and saying, how is this team doing this with this poor offensive line? And I think, what was it? One of the first episodes we ever recorded that we were talking about, why didn't you pick Penei Sewell? You picked Jamar Chase. You needed to improve the offensive line. Why did you do this? Obviously, Jamar Chase turns out to be a superstar wide receiver, but they still haven't figured out that offensive line ever since then. And it's not surprising to me to think that, a team with a average to poor offensive line over a 3-year span isn't sustaining the same success.
And by the way,
and you have a hobbled quarterback right now. So
I'll die on that hill. Sewell over Chase. Either way.
Yeah. At the time, like, you can't rip on them now because, like I said, Chase is amazing.
Of course.
But it was a dumb decision at the time. Like,
Yes.
you need to pick the offensive lineman in that situation.
And Sewell might be a Hall of Fame player. But so Chase might be a Hall of Fame player too. Yeah. But one thing I want to mention, and we've spoke about this a little bit. Well, listen, we're not even close to knowing how the inner workings of an NFL coach and scheming wise. Like, we don't know a lot of that. But I do question Zach Taylor sometimes. Like,
he's really hard to figure out.
Is he a good coach?
Yeah,
is he creative?
I don't
What's
know.
the deal with him?
He was like, it kind of seemed like going into that year when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl that, all right, this is Zach Taylor's last year as a coach. They start off 1-2 and this and that, and then they go on a Super Bowl run. And then you kind of go through the same thing again where Bengals are getting off to a slow start. Last year they got off to a slow start. This year they're going to go off to a slow start. And you're like, do we trust this coaching staff? And they always seem to bounce back. So I think he's a good head coach, but you're kind of just waiting for the shoe to drop and just be like, oh, yeah.
But how creative
finally
is
he
this
came
guy?
back down to earth.
And you're talking about it like, did they figure him out? Maybe they're figuring him out now.
Right.
I don't know. Is the offensive line still a problem? Who knows? But I'll be safe here. I think they're going to figure this out eventually. He'll get healthier, and they'll just get better.
One thing that was alarming about their offense last year, and it's still alarming, is they never, like, Mixon's never been a running back who's known for his efficiency. He's never been a super efficient running back. I don't think he's ever averaged more than 4.5 yards per carry. That's off the top of my head. I need a fact check on that, but I don't believe he's ever averaged too many yards per carry in his career. So last year was it was a bad situation for them in terms of the running game. Mixon's, going out there getting 3.8 a carry every night, it seemed like, and that's still a problem for them. So we like to talk about that with some other teams like the Bills and, other offenses around the NFL where you say you have a good quarterback, but can't really seem to get this running game going. Still kind of happening with the Bengals. And then, like I said, when you have a hobbled quarterback and an offense where you can't complete the ball down the field right now, this is what you get.
Yeah.
You need the defense to play at a great level, and they did last week, and that's why they won the game. But how long are you going to be able to sustain that for? Right now they're -2.5 on the road against Tennessee, and Michael likes to hint that ain't going to happen for them. So we'll save it for the betting show, but I'm taking it as you think that the Bengals are going to lose this weekend then.
If I do decide to put them in, the Titans... Just say this: if the Titans cover the game, they're going to lose. The Bengals are going to lose because Vrabel is great as a dog at home, short spread. He wins that game outright. So we'll see. But let's move on here because we're going to talk a little NFC East. AFC East, NFC East,
Oh, yeah.
And the Dallas Cowboys, lose to the Cardinals, whatever. Cardinals might be better than we think. Maybe they're not tanking. Okay, maybe we got to delete that video of us completely
destroying
crapping
the
on the
Cardinals.
franchise. That never happened, guys.
Yeah.
We never actually thought they were just trying to tank and lose. No, I'm kidding. But
they're probably pissed that they won that game. The front offices.
They might be, but Dobbs looks good, man. They look good, and they are better than people think for sure. But Dallas is going to have a stinker, whatever. I didn't think this when Trayvon Diggs went down. I'm starting to think about it a little bit more. They were going after that corner, Darren Bland.
Yeah, they were going after the corner, but I think the biggest story from it is the running game.
Oh,
they ran the ball down their throats. We're talking about the most yards the Cowboys, who, by the way, have been overrated for like 30 years. I'm a Jets fan. I can't talk too much, but, before the 90s, or after the 90s, not like they have the greatest history ever, but since 1992, this is the most rushing yards they've ever allowed in the first half was against the Cardinals last weekend. That's a really big deal. They gave up almost 200 yards in just rushing in the first half. They were running all over the place. And you know how they did it? They said, okay, you have this superstar pass rusher and Micah Parsons, this freak, this Lawrence Taylor comparison that we're making now.
Yes.
We're going to take him out of the game by running the ball directly at him and frustrating him and double teaming him on these zone plays, these stretch plays, whatever we're doing. And that's exactly what they did. Because don't get me wrong, Micah Parsons is a phenomenal player. However, He's not the biggest guy. He's not a guy who's known for his run support. He's obviously a much more dynamic pass rusher. He's much better when you give him space to do his amazing pass rush moves and get past the offensive line. When you're blocking downhill on him with a tackle and a guard or a tackle and a tight end, sure, he'll make a play once in a while, but he's going to have a little bit of frustrations by doing that all the time, and that's exactly what the Cardinals did.
They went away from him. That's a smart thing. Completely take him out of the game.
No. They went at him, is my point. They ran. If you look at the tape, they ran the ball at Micah Parsons.
They were running at Micah Parsons.
They ran the ball at Micah Parsons and were double-teaming him on running plays.
Well, what's very interesting...
And it frustrated the hell out of him.
What's very interesting is that they invested in this run defense. I mean, that was a problem last season. We saw it. They went out, They drafted Mozzie Smith with their first round pick. They realized this was a problem. They see their division. The Eagles run all over everybody, right? So their biggest competitor runs the crap out of the football. They need to invest in the run defense, and through 3 weeks, it's a problem. So...
And we'll see what New England does this weekend now with 2 running backs and a Ezekiel Elliott revenge game against the Cowboys.
Well, that's what they look to do. They're going to want to run the ball, and that's exactly what Belichick and Bill O'Brien are going to do. Yeah. That's going to be the goal.
That's the thing.
And that's why I'm actually considering them right now a little bit more.
That's the thing is you sort of see the Cardinals could have, teams are going to watch that film and say, okay, did the Arizona Cardinals provide us a blueprint to beat the Dallas Cowboys? You're going to see, okay, where are they at their weakest? This is a defense that was expected to be, and still is expected to be, top-notch, top of the line, top 5, top 3, maybe even the best defense in football. They put up 28 points against them, and like I said, they ran over 200 yards, ran for over 180 yards in the first half. This is a loss for the Cowboys where it happens. You lose to teams that you're not supposed to lose to, and it happens, and you move on. I still see them as a Super Bowl threat, but this puts them on notice.
I see them as a Super Bowl threat too, but it might sound like an overreaction, and we're about to talk about them. I'll say I was wrong on Philly in the way they look because they're just doing it in different ways.
Right.
Philly's better than them basically on every aspect. And by the way, listen, Dallas was missing a lot of offensive linemen in that game. Yeah. They were banged up, and they held guys out of that game. But you see what happens when everything is not perfect for that quarterback. If that offensive line, he did not look good.
Yeah. No, he did not.
Prescott did not play well.
He did not.
They got to stay healthy on that offensive line. They've had some issues the last couple of years now staying healthy. But if everything's not perfect for the quarterback, things goes out there. By the way, Michael Gallup, we saw 2 years ago, Michael Gallup was, oh my God, look at Michael Gallup. What has happened to this guy?
I don't know.
What has happened to him?
It is what it is with Dak. I think the media just goes over the top, guys like LaShawn McCoy. And who the hell is LaShawn McCoy to go on and just start talking football and all these ridiculous takes? Yeah, he's a good running back. Doesn't mean you can talk about sports.
Okay.
He's saying, Dak's ass and this and that. And yeah, it was funny, but just to... we know what Dak is, guys. We know that Dak is a talented quarterback. You put him in the right situation, you can win with the guy, right? That's what we said. You can win with Dak Prescott. He's a talented quarterback. He's probably a top 12 most talented quarterbacks in the league. You don't give him a great situation like most quarterbacks, unlike those $45, $50 million guys that, win the MVP trophies. He's not going to perform to the level that you want him to, and you're not going to be able to win the game.
By the way, if we had more time today, I do want to kind of go into that. There are there's 4 or 5 guys that if you don't give them there are 4 or 5 guys that don't need the absolute perfect situation to be great. Allen, Burrow, Herbert, and Mahomes. That's it. Everybody else needs that perfect situation. You can't convince me otherwise. Maybe Lawrence is getting there, but still. The receivers haven't been good for Lawrence this year, and he's not.
Well, I guess we're not counting Rodgers. Plus, Rodgers is in a weird state. He's hurt, and he was hurt last year. But a healthy Rodgers, yes.
Yeah. Hurts is not in that. Hurts is definitely not in that. We will fight about that.
I'm not. All right. I'm not gonna kill you for that. Hurts. He's not off to the greatest start this year. I still think he's a very talented quarterback, and I think he does exactly what he needs to do in this system to elevate this team to a Super Bowl performance. I want to remind you, though, about that Super Bowl performance last year against the Chiefs. That was a guy who no other quarterback in the league would perform better than he. He performed as good as you can against the Chiefs last year.
With an elite defense, great weapons.
Right, against a Super Bowl winning team, though.
This wasn't
against the Chicago Bears, though.
I'm telling you, take away either the offensive line, the offensive coordinator, or a receiver, or the eliteness of the receiving core.
Honestly, we can't tell.
You're not going to be able
Probably,
to. I'm just telling
you probably said that about Russell Wilson, and then you put him in a situation like that, and then, Russ sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You don't know. No, but I'm saying you probably said about Russell Wilson years ago, you put Russ in any situation.
Oh, no. But Russ had that situation though. The receivers weren't great at times.
Okay, but he wasn't. Yeah, and what happened? They were a wild card team. He was kind of like what Herbert did. And then he goes to but I'm saying if you put Hurts in a situation like a Justin Herbert is, they still might be able to be a wild card level team.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Herbert's situation isn't awful right now. I mean, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not great, but he's not.
We know how we feel about the coach, though.
Exactly.
And injuries to the offense. Williams out for the year. Eckler's supposed to be back this week. We'll see what happens with that. By the way, just before we move on, when I was doing this film breakdown with Zach Wilson, afterwards I was like, you know what? I want to look at the film of like a good quarterback or like something like that. So I looked at the Chargers film. I looked at Chargers Vikings. I just watched the first drive. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, this is – what a breath of fresh air this is. Like, Justin Herbert, I don't want to be, like, too over the top with, like, the glazing here and be like, oh, my God, like, he's such a big, tall quarterback with a strong arm. But, like, if you could build a quarterback in a lab, like, that is the dude coming out of the lab. Yeah. His build is, like, he's got such a strong arm. He's athletic, like a Mahomes, like him, like, just beautiful thrower of the football. That's my Justin Herbert glazing segment.
He's something. Tried telling you last year.
Nice hair too.
I was a little early on it.
What kind of product do you think he puts in there? I gotta
DM him.
You think you could pull that off? What if you had a little like flow in the back?
I don't think I could pull that off.
What about like a mullet?
Somebody just texted me, asked me to work on Sunday.
That's hilarious. Answer him back. Yeah. Say you're good.
He watches, so it'll be funny when he looks at that.
Oh, it was Jesse? What's up, Jesse?
I don't work Sunday. Okay. Moving on. We were kind of just talking about the Eagles, and like we don't have to spend much time on them. And I admitted I was wrong. That offensive line and defensive line play is just so for a team that I root for, and I watch, and I go and look at the all-22. I'm like, wow, that offensive line is terrible, and wow, we're not getting a pass rush, even though Brock Purdy throws the ball after 2 seconds of getting the ball. But it is, like you mentioned, a breath of fresh air. It's like, how do these guys do it? How is this offensive line so good? And Jalen Carter falling. The GMs that passed on this guy,
morons,
get fired.
Yep.
Leave. Quit your job. Handing Howie Roseman, another all-pro gold jacket player. I don't think we have to say much on the Eagles there, though.
I would just say you got to give Hurts credit, though. That was a pretty damn phenomenal throw that he made to Olamide Zaccheaus. That was kind of
watching the camera angle from like his view.
Yeah, pretty wild.
It was pretty crazy because when he threw it and I was watching it live, I'm like, oh, that's picked.
Yeah.
Like, he's throwing a pick.
Yeah.
And he threw 2 picks actually in that game, which was kind of uncharacteristic for him.
Yeah.
But either way, they won, and that's all that matters. And that's all he's done basically his whole football career dating back to high school. So the Eagles are rolling. Best team in the NFC? I'll still give the slight edge right now to San Fran for what they've done, and then I'll put Eagles too.
All right.
Okay. The Giants. Giants.
Let's go.
Giants play Philly right now. Final score. I got one.
Home or away? Neutral site?
Sudan? No, MetLife. MetLife's basically a neutral site.
Yeah, really.
Prime
time, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock. What are we talking here?
God, just make it at 1 o'clock.
All right, 1 o'clock. Giants, Eagles. I'm gonna go.
I got a score for you.
What did they lose in the wild card or divisional? 38-7. I was gonna say 38-7.
I was gonna say 38 something too.
I was gonna say. All right, I'll go 34-10.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 30. I was actually thinking 40 to like 9.
Right. Like, I really just can't see them scoring the ball.
I don't see them scoring a touchdown unless it's like garbage time. Like their defensive line, what they would do to the Giants' offensive line right now, Giants easily.
It would be like you lining up in a 3-point stance, and like there are like 2 second graders in front of you.
Right.
That would be the
That's
Giants'
kind of the comparison.
offensive line.
Because
which, by the way, Merlot was the most annoying person to block in high school football because he just had one move, and it was push forward, bull rush.
Bull rush, get onto you, I'm short and strong.
Yeah, low center of gravity for this guy.
But either way, the Giants' offensive line is graded out the worst in the entire league through 3 weeks. Not even close, by the way. Daniel Jones, 47% of the time he's dropped back, he's been under pressure. That doesn't even feel real.
Right.
So the wide receivers have also graded out as the worst. Obviously, the offensive line's terrible.
Paris Campbell hasn't evolved into an
By
elite
the way,
receiver? What?
Paris Campbell is on my bleep list right now. I've never seen a dude worse. Never seen a dude worse after the catch. It's
no way.
unreal.
LeBron shouted him out in a tweet though.
Nah,
He's must be really good.
Paris will be fine, but the Giants are gonna try an attempt to save their season basically because we talked about how difficult the schedule gets. Mm-hmm. If they don't win this game, you can basically count everything out. I mean, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs in general.
Who they got next week?
Miami.
Oh, and they got the week after that.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they got two more wins after that though.
What's the final score of the Miami game? Is it in Miami?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll go. It's not. It's not.
It's
as
not
bad.
70-20.
It's not as bad. Maybe like 42-23.
Ooh, you get them 23. Look at you.
I think they could probably
Okay.
score on that defense a little bit. But yeah, I mean the Giants against the Seahawks on Monday night will keep this very quickly. There's no excuse. Okay, other than the Giants have the worst pass defense in the league. You know who's 31st?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks. You know whose offensive line is not very good?
Seahawks.
You know whose defensive line is not very good?
Seahawks.
And I'm not trying to sit here and crap on the Seahawks. They're a really good team, but this is where they're a little weaker. And the Giants, who are not good up front offensively, should be able to give Jones time. And one of their strengths coming into the year, like we talked about, is their pass rush. They better get a pass rush this weekend. They better be able to protect the quarterback. And by the way, no excuses for Jones this week. Your receivers, for the most part, are healthy. Your offensive line, your left tackle's back. Your guard is back. Can you do something, please?
You forgot that the biggest thing of them all, it's Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
The lights dim down. The game's about to start.
The lights don't get dimmed down.
The lights dim down. The game's about to start. And on ESPN, all of a sudden you hear Drake comes on, and it's looking for revenge. Dun, 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 dun. And Geno Smith walks out of the tunnel in the MetLife Stadium, where he was a New York Giant, where he was a New York Jet, and he's pissed off. Geno Smith is pissed off. This is a Geno Smith revenge game, and I love Geno Smith. And Geno Smith's going to go out there and throw for 17 touchdowns. No, but really, Geno Smith is... Can we give the guy his respect, please?
Yes.
Like, he is a very good quarterback. And I said it in the offseason, and I'm going to say it right now. He is a top 3 quarterback in the NFC. Geno Smith is a top 3 NFC quarterback. It's not Justin Fields, by the way, for all the people that, oh, my God, Justin Fields, our MVP. Yeah, how'd that work out?
Idiots.
This is going to be a high-scoring game. It should be a high-scoring game, by the way you look at it. Now, of course, there's a factor of it's a Northeast game. It's Sunday. The temperatures are going to maybe drop a little bit. Monday night game, temperatures are going to drop a little bit. You got that whole New York Giants, where the Giants have that little bit of like the Steelers in them where this could just turn into a gross, scrappy game. But Daniel Jones has no excuses.
Even with Saquon out.
Even with Saquon out.
Play.
This is his time to... Give the guy the benefit of the doubt. He's played some tough defenses so far. Obviously, 49ers was the worst, but he's played some really tough defenses. Because who even knows what that Cardinals defense is like now? We don't know what to grade the Cardinals as. But
Makes it look even more impressive.
Cowboys and Niners are 2 really tough defenses. This defense isn't that great. Daniel Jones has the opportunity to spoil this Geno Smith revenge game, and the excuses are up. Seattle's given up 30, 31, and 27 in their 3 games. This is the Giants, if they don't put up at least 24, 27 points up at home, it's a disappointment. Like, this is the time for the offense to shine. And guess what? Kobe Bryant, not to be confused with Lakers legend Kobe Bryant,
I was going to say, where are you going with this one?
and Tariq Woolen are not playing. They're 2 corners. And especially, their standout corner. Tariq Woolen, as of yesterday, when I looked at the injury report, he was listed as doubtful.
Oh, good.
Now, I don't know if that's changed, but Bryant's out. Woolen is at least doubtful. I'm not sure if they changed it to questionable or whatnot. By the way, the way the teams have been reporting injuries this year has just been bizarre. Like, a guy will be, like, questionable, and they're like, oh, he might play Sunday, and then they're like, oh, by the way, he's on IR. So that's cool. But Seattle looks good. Like, this is going to be a test for the Giants' defense. Seattle's been on a roll the past couple weeks. They went on the road, beat Detroit in a shootout game, 37-31. Yep. Last week, offense looked real good against the Panthers, and the Giants are going to have a really tough time stopping Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is a very good running back. Kenneth Walker is one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Well, considering the Giants,
no joke, he is a top 8 running back in the league, Kenneth Walker.
Considering the Giants can't tackle, and according to Xavier McKinney, it's not that big of a problem. Okay, Xavier, figure it out. Wait till you don't get paid after this offseason because we don't pay safeties.
Right, now we're making
and
threats.
You're overrated. Okay. But either way, if they can't tackle this guy, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. So we'll see if Woolen plays or not. I can't really find any status very quickly on him. No excuses for the G-men. They better win this game. Prime time. Get rid of this stigma. Please, please. And I was going to say something about them, and I completely forgot. No excuses. I think they win. That's what I wanted to say. I'm fully convinced. I'm going to bet it. I think the Giants are going to win. Might be a pick. Okay. I think the Giants are going to win this game. So we'll see what happens. Geno, obviously, like you mentioned, made some big-time throws in that Carolina game. I mean, he looked really, really good. So we'll see what happens. Listen, I think it'll be a good game. I think high-scoring. It better be. Yeah.
By the way,
oh God.
The game is starting, I think, basically now. Right now, when we are recording this, it's 8:15 on Thursday night. Yeah. So that's why we're not talking about the Packers or the Lions game.
Right.
But, yeah, our whole goal of, let's be able to watch the game. And after we're recording, we're going a little overtime, but
yeah, it's fine.
It's no harm, no foul.
You know what? The NFL called me and they said
they're going to hold it off.
No, the beginning of the game is going to be boring. You're not going to miss anything.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Yeah, but hopefully Aaron Jones scores a touchdown very quickly. Which game are you looking forward to the most? I'm going to give you 3. Okay, Buffalo, Miami, Ravens, Browns. Sorry, I'm having a mental block. Or Broncos, Bears. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Oh. Of course, Broncos Bears.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing how
I would
bad
actually
that
rather
game is.
I would rather bang my head against a window for 3 hours straight than watch that game.
I want to see what's going to happen.
This is such an easy question. Bills Dolphins, easily.
I want to see what's going to happen.
You know what you left off the list though?
What?
I can't wait for. I don't know what I'm doing Saturday night yet. Been doing good, not going out and stuff. Kind of getting tired of the whole drinking scene. Doing good, but just in case it is a hungover Sunday morning. Little London, little Falcons Jaguars.
I'm excited.
That's a little under. In the past, that's been a gross game. These are 2 teams that have playoff expectations here, so we'll see.
That's a good game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that game. I'm also looking forward to watching Taylor Swift in the suite at MetLife Stadium.
Thank God that we're getting to the end of the segment. We're not talking about this. It's so annoying.
We're kind of running out of time, but
I don't understand. I'm going to trigger all the Taylor Swift fans out there right now.
Don't.
She is the plainest. She's a pretty woman. I understand why.
Totally.
There are people out there saying oh, Taylor Swift is I don't understand the hype. She's a very beautiful woman, but I'm not why is this such a big deal? Oh, my God.
8.2. She's the biggest star in the world right now, JM.
Objectifying Taylor Swift.
I mean,
it's ridiculous. It's a pizza review.
She's huge. She is big time. And, credit to her. She's built herself up, and she's going to go support her man at MetLife Stadium this weekend. Enough of Taylor Swift, though. Let's move on. And something we haven't talked about in a very long time, and that is the NBA, JM.
We're back in business.
A blockbuster move happened middle of the week. Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks, a 3-team deal between the Blazers and the Suns. I always look at it sometimes like this, the best player that was moved, that team probably won the trade, or whoever has the best chance at the moment to go win a championship probably won the trade. Right. And the Bucks now are the betting odds favorite to win the championship. Plus 350, I think I saw the other day. Them and the Suns, looks like we're going to get a rematch possibly from 2021. But either way, a major, major trade to shake up the landscape of the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this is a little weird because I thought that all teams did well in this trade. The only thing is, now there's already talk about Drew Holiday being traded again. Right. The Knicks have thrown their hat into the ring, which that would be an awesome get for them. They've been looking for a point guard for, God, who knows how long. And I know that Jalen Brunson has been great, but still, to still improve that position for them, where we're in a positionless NBA now, so having 2 ball handlers, and I'm sure they'd split up duties there as not having a true point guard. But anyways, this is a great trade for all teams. The Suns did a really good job improving their depth. That's a really, really good lineup for the Suns with Beal, Booker, and Durant, and now you have Nurkic. And I'm drawing a complete blank right now for who the last guy in their starting lineup is for whatever reason. Can you help me out, or you don't know either?
Booker, Beal, Durant, Nurkic. No, I have no clue.
God, this is really bad. We haven't talked about the NBA in 6 months. So
and by the way, you want to hear something even worse? I forgot until I heard, oh my God, I completely forgot they traded for Bradley Beal, the Suns.
Oh, yeah,
and
me
we
too.
were speaking about it actually yesterday, and we never mentioned Beal.
Yeah.
We only mentioned Booker and Durant.
Yeah.
And it just completely slipped my mind that they also have Beal. But I think the one thing that, at least...
Oh, Okogie. That was it. Josh Okogie.
Looking at the Suns was the depth, right? Especially
Yeah.
after they made all these trades. They have no depth. They have no depth.
Yeah.
And this deal, who, by the way, they didn't like DeAndre Ayton. They thought he was soft. He didn't fit the mold in which they needed to do. He
wasn't a great playoff performer at all.
Right. Talented center, but not really fitting the role they needed. You go get Nurkic. That's a nice move. Add some depth. I like it for them. The Blazers, obviously, they're in rebuild mode.
Right.
They like the guards they have right now. They're going to move Holiday, like you mentioned, and they'll get a lot for Holiday.
Yeah.
Which is good. Just the rebuild continues.
Right. Keep getting more and more compensation. Now, let's talk about Lillard here and the fit with the Bucks.
Yeah.
A lot of trades that we've seen over the years, these big trades, you question the fit with the team, and you question, even like Bradley Beal, you question if that's a great fit with the Suns. You already have Booker, you already have Durant, you have, Booker. Bradley Beal is in a point guard, and neither is Devin Booker. And I know I talked about the positionless NBA, but you get worried about guys doing too similar of things, and they're not being able to really mold well together. This is not the case. I mean, this is a perfect fit. This is going to help with the spacing of the team tremendously. This is a team, the Bucks, where they can score on you in any way possible. Damian Lillard is obviously a prolific three-point shooter. Giannis isn't exactly known for his three-point shooting, but he's known for being one of the best players on the planet. Brook Lopez is a guy who seems to still be underrated at this point.
Crazy.
A phenomenal defender, a guy who's a big man who could shoot threes. This is a really, really dangerous team, a team that should mold well together. Now, will we see some growing pains at the beginning? Possibly. Let these guys start to learn how to play with each other. And big pause. Nobody's playing with each other. But in a sports kind of way, we actually have. Dude, I was in the film breakdown. Zach Wilson. I made like a pause comment. I was like, "Oh, there's 4 guys coming here," and I was like, "Oh, I have to say pause." Yeah, I don't know. This is our generation. Anyways, it's a good trade for all teams. Like I said, Suns improve their depth. Blazers get really good compensation. They get a first-round pick. Now they're going to, potentially trade Drew Holiday. Who even knows if they want DeAndre Ayton? But, I feel like he's going to turn into that meme and be like, who want me? I don't know.
When did they move him to?
I don't know. I really don't know. But, let's not act like DeAndre Ayton is, trash.
No, he's not, but
he's an NBA player. He's not a guy who's just soaking up, bench time. He's a starting caliber player in the league. Didn't work out well with him with the Phoenix Suns, but let's see if he could find his own path here.
He's only 25. He just turned 25. That's funny.
So Suns get Grayson Allen as well. They get Nasir Little. They get Keon Johnson. Grayson Allen, that's also a really nice get for them. That's a really good depth move.
Yeah.
And then, like I mentioned, the Blazers getting. It's funny when you look at the trade details. It literally just says Bucks received Damian Lillard. They got nothing else. But why would you even need anything else?
Right. I know. I noticed that too the other day. I'm like, yeah. Their roster is good, though. This is going to be, again, it looks like we have the 2 super teams back. We got the super teams back. And it's funny, I forget who said it, but it was so funny. It was like, well, the Bucks had to do something to keep Giannis happy. They ran out of brothers to sign.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's go get a star. And they heard Giannis. I think it was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. He talked about possibly, the commitment to winning.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
I don't
remember.
remember.
Do for him?
It was either with you or it was with my brother. I was driving home one night and I was on the phone just talking sports and talking about Giannis and saying Giannis is a possibility for the Knicks. He's a possibility for some other places because he seems to be unhappy with the front office and the thing about signing the brothers and this and that, and he got pissed off. I'm not sure if that conversation can still be had now that he has Damian Lillard on his team.
No.
And no more excuses for Lillard, by the way.
No more excuses
for Lillard. The guy deserved the excuses. He was stubborn about it with running away from the grind and all this stuff, but it's time now. You have the team. You have the superstars.
And I don't want to hear Giannis anymore. I don't want to hear after he gets upset by the 8th seed.
Right.
If they get upset in the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't want to hear it wasn't a successful season. No, you don't win the championship with this team. It's definitely not.
Yep.
Or at least get there. It's definitely not a successful season. So we'll see what happens with Giannis and the Bucks. NBA season vastly approaching.
Yep.
Let's go into some baseball, though, because that season's dwindling down here.
Yes, it is.
And before we talk about the wild card races, let's talk about this report here that we've really everybody's seen now for a couple of days about the Padres wanting to cut some payroll, and that might mean some of these really good players they have on their team. Juan Soto, Blake Snell's going to be out the door hitting free agency. He's going to get paid big time after winning the NL Cy Young. He didn't do it yet, but he'll eventually win it. This is very interesting because you have a team that severely underachieved. They're not eliminated yet, but they need a lot of things to happen for them to not be eliminated. They went on a little winning streak at the end, but the Padres are going to miss the playoffs, and it was a major disappointment. And they brought over Juan Soto, and Juan Soto costed them a lot in prospects. They might look to get some of these prospects back and moving him the final year of his contract. Even though Hector Gomez had a report today about they're going to try and offer him a big-time contract to have him stay.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see him staying there. All the reports indicate he wants to be on the East Coast. I think he's going to get moved, and I think it's going to be to an East Coast team.
Yep. You know, just going back to the Padres, it's really bizarre that they're not having a good season. And they, like you said, they made a little push here at the end, went on the winning streak and this and that. But you look at the guy's stat lines, and you're like, ooh, nice year for Ha-Seong Kim, nice year for Juan Soto, nice year for Bogarts in his first year. You know, nothing too flashy, but Bogart basically playing to the back of his baseball card, maybe a little underwhelming. Tatis has been underwhelming in terms of the bat, but overall, he's played some excellent defense in right field.
Yes.
Turns out, you know, he might have a little revitalization for his career in terms of defense there in right field. He might have found his spot, but, you know, Machado not performing to the back of his baseball card. But, you know, still you would think, you look at these numbers, and this is a pretty good team. And they just fell short in a big way. There's just no depth on this team, honestly. It's very top heavy. There's really just not enough depth in every aspect of the team. You think you have a superstar in just about every position group. You got Josh Hader, you got Blake Snell, you got Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, but there's no depth. So didn't work out for them. And, you know, we were critical of A.J. Preller and the way that he built this team. And this isn't just, you know, MLB The Show or a video game where you could just go and put a bunch of superstars together and say, all right, go win 100 games and win the World Series. That's not the way it works, and that's obviously not what happened for them this year.
There's a lot of reports about the relationship between Preller and Melvin. Melvin might get fired possibly after this year.
But it's 100% a possibility.
Toxic workplace. No, I shouldn't say that, but, you know, relationship reported from the GM and the manager. This is also, this is the main reason why they are the way they are. Their run differential is good. Their expected win total is in the high 80s.
Yeah.
They're 7-20-23 in one-run games.
Also, hello, new worst contract in baseball, Yu Darvish. At the time said it. What the hell are they doing, signing a 35-year-old to a 6-year contract?
When did they do that?
This offseason. Giving him like $110 million.
Yeah.
Yu Darvish, not a good year. Ended up on the IL. Pitched 24 starts this year. Didn't have a good season. And, you know, he's 36 years old. Or 37 years old already. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second. Their run differential is plus 97, okay?
Yeah. See, that's kind of crazy.
Their expected win total is 90 wins at the moment, okay?
Yeah,
this would be the second highest run differential in their franchise's history, and they're not going to make the playoffs.
See, that's tough. That's also the good point. They are also on the bad side of luck here.
The reason why they are not in the playoffs is because, again, the record 7-23 in one-run games as of September 26th, and I don't think they have a win in the extra innings this year. So
Jesus, yeah, they're like the opposite of what we saw out of the Vikings last year in terms of and on the baseball side.
Exactly, it's unreal. Their pitching staff, has been fine. I think they have one of the top ERAs in baseball, team ERAs in baseball. You mentioned it.
The numbers don't make sense.
Soto's having a fantastic season. Blake Snell's the Cy Young runaway in the National League now.
Yep.
It's unreal.
This is one of the best years of Soto's career so far. Yeah, it's not the best, but it's definitely one of the best.
And now let's talk about him because the rumors are swirling around. They're going to cut payroll. They're not going to bring this guy back in a couple of years, possibly. They will look to trade him if they don't see fit that they're going to bring him back.
Right.
And there's been all these rumors about him wanting to play on the East Coast, and I thought he was going to be a Philly for the longest time. Free agency hit, he was going to be a Philly.
Yeah.
They just locked in a Trey Turner for 11 years, $300 million. I don't see how that would be feasible for them.
Yeah.
I think it's between our two teams. Like
That's
I
funny. The
think
Phillies are gonna, just use the Nationals as like their minor league system, like they did with Bryce Harper.
Basically.
and just sign their excellent young right fielders.
But I see. I think
Yeah,
the Mets and Yankees.
let's get into that. So I think the Mets and the Yankees are two serious threats, but I think there's also some dark horse teams we're forgetting about here when we talk about the East Coast. Keep in mind, Juan Soto, you trade for the guy, you don't have to sign him to an extension. I don't think that I think Juan Soto prefers to get signed to an extension because the guy's going to be on his third team at that point, and he doesn't want to worry about his fourth team after the season.
Right.
But you have your teams like the Rays and the Orioles that we know aren't going to dish out a $400 million contract to Juan Soto. But they have the farm system to trade for him, especially the Orioles. I mean, they got a freaking stable of guys to trade. You could get Juan Soto on a one-year rental at a pretty solid price where the Padres could get a haul back, not exactly what they gave up to the Nationals because you're talking about 2.5 years of control versus 1, but still a top-level prospect, multiple top-level prospects that the Orioles do have or the Rays do have, and they could just bring on Juan Soto for a year and hope they win a World Series and then let him go in free agency.
You know what sucks too about that though? Like the Orioles, it would make sense along with all the younger players you have to extend him. Right. Same thing with maybe not with the Rays, but the Orioles specifically, if they were to make a trade like that, it would make a ton of sense. Yeah. Extend the guy. Build around your core. They're not going to do that. They have a cheap owner who also mentioned that if you want to bring these guys back, the fans are going to pay.
Right.
He said that.
That's
out
fire.
loud.
Sick
Good job,
ownership.
John Angelos.
Good job.
He's had a great year.
Attaboy. Stay hot, John.
The Orioles have had a fantastic year on the field. He's had a very sarcastically great year off the field.
Yeah.
But either way.
But yes, the Yankees and the Mets.
It's going to be the Mets and the Yankees.
They certainly are huge threats to make this trade, and they're the teams that you trade for Juan Soto, you extend them. Now, I think the Mets have a better chance because, first of all, we know the owner has no really way of putting this
Deep
slightly,
pockets.
has a bigger set of balls than Hal Steinbrenner, has a little bit of a deeper pocket than Hal Steinbrenner. Not to slight Hal Steinbrenner, I didn't mean it like that, but basically saying that Cohen goes for it more. We've seen that he doesn't give a crap about who he trades for, who he signs, this and that. And that obviously also has to do with the fact that he's only been an owner for a couple of years versus a Hal Steinbrenner who's been doing it for a long time and, has a little bit more of a even cool to him, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
I don't necessarily believe that Cohen doesn't care. I think he wants to build the farm system.
No. I'm not saying he's just reckless. I'm just saying he's definitely more aggressive and is a little less patient than a Hal Steinbrenner and any other owner out there.
Yes.
But the Mets have the advantage on the Yankees where it depends what angle you look at it from because the Mets have a better farm system, but I could make the argument that the Yankees have better pro-ready young players like a Volpe, a Dominguez, and Austin Wells, and guys like that. But the Mets certainly, their farm system, guys that are still in the minors, like Angel Acuna and other guys, that's the guys that you're going to, that the Padres, I almost said the Rays, that the Padres are going to be certainly attracted to.
There aren't many guys I wouldn't trade for Juan Soto. I mean, he is our modern-day Ted Williams, right? So it's interesting that you mentioned the Dominguez and, Volpes of the world that
that's a little
you would
crazy.
You would consider
Soto's great. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but Soto is great, but we throw that around a little too much with the whole Ted Williams. I mean, Ted Williams is one of the greatest hitters of all time, and Juan Soto has been off to a great start to his career so far, but to put him in the Ted Williams category is a little insane.
Yeah, his batting average is much higher than what Soto's
And Soto,
is,
the guy's never had a 40-homer season. I know that's a pretty high standard, but if we're talking Ted Williams, we're going to hold Juan Soto to a pretty higher standard.
Juan Soto's also only 24 years old.
Yes, but he hasn't won an MVP yet. Like, let's calm down a little bit.
I'll calm it down. You're right. Ted Williams is baseball reference.
But that's the thing that's the thing is Dominguez looked fantastic. He's had a lot of hype about him. Now, actually didn't end up having this exact career path in the minor leagues that we saw, where when he got called up by the Yankees, he wasn't a number one prospect in baseball. He wasn't top 10. I don't even think he was top 25. I believe he was in the 50s or something, like 30s, whatever it was. Jason Dominguez looks like he's going to be a great player.
Yes.
I don't care what you say. You trade Jason Dominguez.
100%.
Like, you trade Jason Dominguez. You trade Anthony Volpe. You trade these guys in this trade that, sure, does Jason Dominguez at his max ceiling have the potential to turn into the level of a player that a Juan Soto is? Yes. What are the chances of that? And also, this isn't an Aaron Judge where the guy's hitting free agency at 30, 31 years old. Juan Soto is going to be 26 when he hits the open market. I mean, you are signing a guy to, I get scared about these 10-year contracts, 10-plus year contracts. You sign Juan Soto to a 10-year contract, he's 36. He might be on the free agent market again. Now, he's going to be asking for more than 10 years, but that's just to prove how young he is and how this investment isn't. If you could get as little risk as possible, Juan Soto's the guy.
Yeah, for a contract that's going to be in the $400 million. You talk about risk. Otani's going to be a free agent, obviously, this season.
That's risky.
For a team like the Mets or the Yankees that may not feel like they have a chance at Otani, you trade for this guy now. This is your big piece. This is less risky than getting Otani.
And what have the Mets been dying for years? One of those just absolute stud, no doubt position players, feared in the lineup every single day, Hall of Fame bat. Francisco Lindor is a guy who has the potential to be a Hall of Famer. We could all agree nobody sees Francisco Lindor in the lineup and is absolutely terrified of him.
You're not feared like Juan Soto.
Guy, you respect him, you pitch to him carefully, but he's not a Juan Soto. He's not an MVP caliber bat. He's an all-around great player, but the bat is not MVP caliber.
Not many guys are Juan Soto.
Exactly. So the Mets have been looking for their Aaron Judge, a guy like that who comes in and is just absolutely dominant and is feared by the pitching staff any day of the week. And that is what Juan Soto is. And to go to the Yankees, Stanton didn't work out. Unfortunately, he had some nice moments. He had some moments in the playoffs. The guy's career isn't over, but it seems like this whole Stanton story is coming to an end right now. What have the Yankees been dying for is a left-handed bat, and that's all people want. That's why they wanted Harper instead of Stanton, and we've been talking about it for years and years and years. This lineup is too right-handed. We need a lefty. We need a lefty that's feared in the lineup. Here's your lefty. Here's your guy.
He's perfect. He's made for Yankee Stadium.
Here's the guy for Aaron Judge. Here's the Pippen to Jordan for Aaron Judge. This is like this is Kobe and Shaq if you have those guys in the middle of the lineup. I mean, literally, that is a ridiculous back-to-back.
Yeah, it would be perfect. I don't think it's going to happen. I've gotten my hopes up. I've like way too much last 24 hours. It's really good. It's Jeff Passan's fault, too.
By the way.
He goes on that podcast and he says,
yeah,
the Mets are a scary possibility. The Mets are going to be able to you could make this move. And we know they can make this move. We know the owner will want to sign him. By the way, Juan Soto's stats at Citi Field are unreal. I think he's batting like over 400, something crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, this is the guy to go get. It's less risk than Shohei Ohtani. This is the guy to go trade for and sign long term.
Yeah, and this is a guy that you sign and you extend immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't run the risk of letting him at the open market, especially if you have an investment of prospects.
This isn't a Lindor type deal where, the Mets maybe rushed to judgment and gave him the contract before the season started.
Right.
You know what Juan Soto is.
Lock him up.
Can just lock him up for whatever it's going to be, whatever it'll take. Even though the Mets could outbid whoever in free agency,
right?
You just get it done.
By the way, Judge, if he plays 157 games like he did last year, he's hitting 60 again this year.
You think so? Dude, you're 37 right now?
37 through 357 at-bats.
How many at-bats did he have last
62
season?
in 570 last year.
Yeah, he'd come close to it.
He'd come very, very close to it.
Did he have his little...
He might hit 40 home runs. The guy missed a quarter of the season.
Did he go on his little vacation yet? He had a bad August, something like that, right?
He took his vacation
in August.
Yeah, in August. Yeah,
partly in August. We have a joke with another friend of ours.
Shout out Cash.
Yeah, shout out Cash. We like to
Florida
joke that
Cash.
Aaron Judge likes to go on vacation in the middle of the year. Just, a little cool off, which is fine. Guys do that, Yeah. Alonso did it twice.
Quietest Pete Alonso 46 home run season of all time, by the way.
Impressive season from Pete, which is in a down year, like I just mentioned. He had a bad slump when he came back from the injury. Another slump just in general.
Wait a minute. He's already played 150 games. That's how little he was out for?
Yeah, he missed.
I could have sworn he missed 10 days. 2 or 3 weeks.
10 days. He was supposed to miss 2 or 3 weeks. He rushed back, and he was terrible for about 3 weeks. And then he went on a little bit of a tear. He's at 46. Maybe he goes on a little 4 home run weekend.
Look at us hitting all 3 sports.
We hit all three
Been a
sports.
long time since we did that, and rightfully so. I mean, the news cycle. But we're starting to creep into October. October is when all the sports start to combine here.
Listen, baseball's getting hot in those streets. I'm very excited for the postseason. I mean, the wild card race is pretty intense right now in the AL and NL. Yankees on like their best stretch basically of the year. A little too late.
Yeah.
They've been the best team I think since
really
August 28th.
Yeah. And Garrett Cole's having a Cy Young season and like the most irrelevant season for the Yankees in a long time, so that's nice.
Shout out. But yeah, Mariners.
All three. We talked all three sports. Yeah, maybe a little puck.
Puck soon.
Are we gonna talk puck?
Puck soon.
No,
Preseason Islanders
don't get
right
your
now
hopes
against
up.
the
We're not
Devils.
gonna talk
We're getting excited for some puck season, but
yeah.
we're very excited for the postseason, NBA, and obviously NFL, which is flying through. We'll have the postseason set up. We have postseason games next time we record. I think the postseason starts next week. Yeah, so we'll be diving into the MLB playoffs big time next week. The race in the NL is tight, but it's kind of boring just because the teams are going to just lose. Yeah. The 6 seed is going to lose right away. So not really getting into it that much. But Miami and Chicago are tied as of right now. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Miami doesn't get in. Hopefully the Mets can beat them tonight. So sorry, Cash. But anyway, episode 109 in the books. Thanks for listening.
See you later.